Hello, scholars. For this Module 3, Sources Types Part 2, there's going to be a bit more busy work than normal. You'll be reading about primary versus secondary sources. I'm going to have some examples that I'll go over with you, including some confusing ones. This is really important because many of you will be confronting some rubrics and instructions to use primary sources really very soon. So I want to make sure you know what they are. I have two really great videos that will explain them, one from the point of view of history research and another from marketing. And I think that's going to be both great components and perspectives of looking about how and why one would use one over the other. I will have a quiz. I think it has about 7 questions about identifying if something's primary versus secondary. I will go into newspapers. I had to hold myself back, people. Newspapers is so extraordinary, exciting, historical. I couldn't write about everything in my lifetime. So what I'm trying to focus on here is how we can identify newspapers online, the different sections that are available, and why we might want to use a newspaper, say, over a blog. One of the big pieces of this will be that journalists do have a code of ethics. They do have a professional level of code of ethics where they fact check and where they are generally edited, and also they strive to be objective and be a resource in the community for all the sources they pull together. So I want you to kind of consider those things in digital and newspaper journalism. And then this is not going to be graded, it's only going to be graded in terms of completing it. I don't want you to soul search and give me some information here and tell me about your local news experience. And it's going to have some questions for you to answer. Then there's going to be a section on podcasts and videos. Firstly, you may feel you're an expert, and you likely probably are. You are probably a great audience, but what happens to us when we use podcasts and videos for research? What sort of standards do they need to meet beyond entertainment? And this section covers those concepts. One of the things I want you to very consistently look for in your multimedia is closed captions, transcripts. I want you to see resources. If they mention something, I'd like to see a link or a list of resources that you can get to them. Also, I'd like it to have a clear about statement. Who are they? What are they doing? What is their bias? Additionally, it's really great to see that they have show notes, which should, in theory, cover all these things. When you're looking for research in terms of podcasts and videos, make sure those things are available to you. Those do have a higher level of evidence and credibility. Then you have a discussion post. We haven't had one of these in weeks. I want you to use your research question and go into social media and search for a source using keywords from your question. I want you to report what you find and respond to one person's post. This requires 100 words. If, as modeled in the actual piece, you want to just use 25 words and show me your work, maybe your search itself. I happen to use Google Advanced, which I advise. These are the words in my question, and I wanted to search specifically Facebook, and I did a screen capture of a couple of my search results that I found. And you can see that this search was actually quite good. And yet again, I may want to go back and change my annotation example that I provided to you in the first week of class. Finally, as we've been doing every single week, I want you to find 3 more keywords, and I want you to look for 2 more sources. For this one, I want you to go to the library and use Newsbank. I tell you how to find it. I want to make sure you understand how to find things in databases A to Z. The reason for this is because almost every library has them. And if you go to a college or university in the state, or even at Harvard, you're going to see something called databases A to Z. That's just an alphabetical listing of databases. And when you have the name of the database, you can find it quite easily. They usually also have a subject listing. So here I want you to find a newspaper article and a podcast or video. And then, simply, in 3 sentences, could you describe the differences between the podcast video and the newspaper article? You'll be choosing one of these. This should actually be easy, but I'd like for you to kind of tell me maybe how the information was presented differently or better. We can measure here. We're doing critical thinking. And you just need 3 sentences. So that will complete Module 3, Part 2, and we'll be moving on to Module 4. So this week has a lot of busy work. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. I developed this in part so that some of us will have conversations. We're not starting from the same place and we don't have the same research questions. And we're all going to run into different things. Please again note how every week when I do a presentation, I say, wow, I really should change my example paper because I keep finding better research results. And that's how real research works. I hope you have a great week. If you need me, find me.